morning, everybody, and welcome, of course, again to Safari Live. This is live, this is interactive, this is happening right now as you watch this hippopotamus go on a little bit of a stroll. Now, I'm hearing all sorts of strange noises. I'm not sure if it's a car or what that sound is. My name is Taylor, and on camera with me today is David. Like I said, if you want to ask us any question, because it is live, it's happening right now, you can hashtag Safari Live on Twitter, or you can, send some questions also on the YouTube chat. I heard some interesting noises. I don't know if it was a distress call. There is a big herd of elephants. It could have been a youngster making a bit of noise. But I think that this is just absolutely beautiful to start the morning off by watching a hippopotamus go on a little bit of a walk. It seems to be modeling up and down this massive drainage system. It's quite funny. I think it's not quite sure which way to go. There's lots of vehicles just starting their safaris now. I think they're obviously going to be looking for lions, and I don't think the lions are very far from here because cars have become quite sort of stationary. But we'll let them have a little look first. You know what I'm like. I like to view everything all by myself. And once they all move on, then we'll carry on. But that's great. Look, zebra in the background, a bit of mist as well. It's quite hazy out today. That's one thing I've definitely noticed. Haven't seen too many clear days out here. Everyone's on their way, ready to go. So excited to be out in the Mara Triangle. Now, Izzy, you said good morning. Maurice, it is a good morning. Maurice is with us, of course, today. I've just actually, you caught me in the act, really. I was trying to stabilize Maurice's chair. Maurice is obviously quite different. I'll show you Maurice now. Now sit up nicely, sit up straight. Have to have manners, of course. We'd not raise you that way. Oh, and the scarf. Got to fix the scarf. Bring that. Oh no, it's quite nice over the shoulder, I think. But yes, so very important when you are in a car to always wear your safety belt. Byron likes to do a tip of the day, and he will be joining us a little bit later. He's actually going to be on a bushwalk, so we must remember to ask him about his tip of the day. Mine is going to be safety. How does that sound? Right, where's our hippo gone? I think let's do a little bit of maneuvering. Let's see if we can get a bit closer to our friend the hippo. We'll keep our distance, though. They can be quite nervous. Just shorten that word. Nervous outside of the water. Right, and we'll go around. Actually coming towards us, so I'll just go around the bend and we'll sit on the road and we'll let the hippo come to us. Hopefully it will be relaxed enough to approach us. So I'll just go in very slowly and then we'll have a look. Don't be frightened of us, Mr. or Mrs. Hippopotamus. I also haven't been able to tell you what the sex is, but we'll have a look now. Okay, I'm going to stop right here. It's okay, Hippo. Now, a question from Zaz, and I think Snazzy too, and that is, can hippos run? Wow, you would actually be impressed as to how fast a hippopotamus can actually move. I hope that it doesn't start running now, though. That won't be good for us, because that means that it will be unsettled. So I'm quite happy if it keeps its gait at a walk. But they can move very, very quickly. They have got sort of a very barrel-shaped body with short, stubby little legs, and for those of you who are perhaps seeing hippo for the first time, you would think these things can't move quickly. What absolute nonsense are these guys talking about? But I promise you, it is terrifying when a hippo gets up to full tilt. It will make you want to climb a tree. Actually, that's one of the only ways you can get away from hippos: climb a tree or climb up on some rocks where they can't get you. Off it goes. Now, Starlight, you're wondering if I can tell if the hippo is pregnant. You can normally. It's still going down into this massive drainage system. We'll see if we can get another view. That was quite graceful. Normally, you'll see the belly gets quite swollen. Sort of how we look at zebras. You must have seen a couple of mares in foal. They sort of bulge from the sides. And that's exactly what happens with a hippo. Let me see if I can get closer. I actually didn't get an opportunity to see if it was a male or female, to be honest. It didn't have a proper look. But it looked like there was a couple of scratches on it, so maybe it's a male. Let's see, there's a massive drainage system down here. It's huge, and the Angama pride like to hang around here as well. There's a little bit of water. I don't know if this hippo will rest here. It could totally come and rest in a nice shady spot. There is bits of pool, not bits, but a couple of pools of water. Oh, it's just going around the edge there, sneaky on the ledge. Oh, I don't know if we're going to get it. I can't off-road here. You'll just see its bottom disappearing. There it goes. Look at that. Oh, it's just, well, this should be able to give us a chance. It looks like it's a female. The reason why I say it's a female, it also looks like it's missing a little bit of hair on its tail, is because I can't see the sheath of the man bits. So that would make it a female. But off it goes. It's now disappeared down to the drainage line, unfortunately out of view. But I'm going to show you my next favorite animal. That was really nice to see a hippo out of water. We actually see them so often. I was absolutely petrified the other night when we were out. I must have seen about 200 hippos in the entire evening, all scattered out on these open plains grazing. And it's going to be really beautiful. Tonight is full moon, actually. And hopefully it stays nice and clear like this and the wind doesn't pick up and bring the clouds over, because I think we could get some cool footage of the hippos and with our special cameras that allow us to have low light. You'll see, and then hopefully I'll be able to at some point show you that sheen that I always talk about, that you see when you're looking out at hippos that are grazing under the starlight. They have a little silvery sheen on their backs. It's really beautiful. But there's a huge herd of elephants coming this way, and we'll see if we can get a nice view of them. Quite a big herd. They obviously went up the top of the escarpment. Now they're slowly feeding all the way down out into the open. I'm sure they'll go towards the river line, or they could hang around here. There's plenty of water about. Oh, a lot of these drainage lines have filled up with the last bit of rain that we've had, which is lovely. So I'll just go up a little bit further. You might be able to start seeing the elephants. It's beautiful. Now they're quite far away, but that's okay. It's nice sometimes actually to look from a distance. There they are. Well, we'll see if we can't have a little look around over here. Because I really want to find some lions this morning. But there's my favorite animal in the whole world. You can see they're on their way down. Lots of little ones. This is actually only half of the herd. The rest of the herd has already disappeared and down and out of view. But that's quite nice to start the day with two very large mammals, the hippo and then, of course, the elephant. Scott, who has been out all night, hopefully he got a bit of beauty sleep, a little bit of a nap. Let's go across to him and see how he's faring.
Hello everyone, and yes, we've just woken up, myself and Manu, who's on camera with me, and we had a good sleep. We packed it in at around 12ish, I think, and caught up on some much needed Zeds, and now we're thoroughly looking forward to taking you guys on an adventure with the hopes that we're going to be able to track down some cheetah, specifically the Musketeer Coalition of 5 males. Some of you would have already spent a lot of time with them together with us, and I'm sure you guys are missing the awesomeness that they are, and I guess just cheetah in general. There's quite a few cheetah that hang around on this side of the river. We're on the opposite side of the river to where Taylor is. I think James is also lurking on the eastern side of the Mara River, but I think he's quite a lot further south than us. So looking forward to the morning adventure. The sun just popped up over the horizon about 20 minutes ago, and we are seriously enjoying its warming effects. It was quite a chilly night out. Well, I'm very happy to hear that Catherine is excited at the prospects of finding some cheetah, as am I, and as is Manu. Manu hasn't spent much time across here. He spent no time across here and no time filming cheetah yet, so he's been stuck up in the hot air balloon for quite a lot of time during the TV shows, and I'm looking forward to introducing him to whichever cheetah we may be able to find. Jambo sana bwana. Habari ya asubuhi. Sisi haina habari, alilala saa 6 mpaka saa hii. So yes, sisi alilala msituni bwana, godoro iko hapo juu. Ndio. Haya. Iko blanketi bwana. Morning, how you doing? I'm live at the moment, which is going to make it tricky. But if we bump into one another later, definitely. Have a good safari. Everywhere, to the internet. Bye-bye, have fun. So it's important that we engage with and be friendly with everyone out here. It's one of my favorite things about being on safari is that typically everyone you come across has either got some information or just a generally friendly and welcoming attitude. The guide was quite astonished that we spend the nights out. He was asking what about the cold? And shame, his guest asked if she could have a photo with us, but I explained it would be a little bit tricky right now. Good, we are going to continue meandering, foraging for these cheetah, and I'm feeling confident that at some point they're going to pop up. But in the meantime, you are going to be going back to Taylor with something else that pops up out of the water.
They do indeed pop outside the water, and this one popped outside the drainage line. We thought that we had lost her, and now David and I were singing a song. Are you ready, David? 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. She's a lady. Whoa, 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 she's a lady. We've now got an audience as well. That was probably very embarrassing. We were hoping to sing that song with no one else close by. Absolute failed attempt. There are now roars of laughter coming from the car next to us, wondering what on earth we are doing. But she's back again. And it's like I said, I think we need to take time and appreciate when we get to see these animals that are normally quite secretive outside and out in the open. And the cars are moving off. She's just watching that car. She's going, excuse me, it's early in the morning. Can you please keep it down? Now, I hope that she is going to head back towards a nice, cool spot. She's not heading towards the Mara River in the traditional direction. So I wonder if she's not going to head towards the escarpment and perhaps use some of those drainage systems there. Now, Sylvie, you're wondering how far away is this hippo from water? Well, from the Mara River is not actually that far, a couple of kilometers away. But like I said, there's lots of big drainage lines in here that do hold quite a bit of water. And we have had a fair amount of rain over the last few days. So she could just go and rest in something like that. I'm sure she's a girl. Like I said, I didn't really see any of the man bits, but we'll check again when she comes around this side. But it is a problem. I mean, it's obviously going to get quite hot today. There's very little clouds around, and unfortunately, hippos can dehydrate really, really quickly, much quicker than most animals. And that's just because they don't have any sweat glands. So they've got a very thin epidermis, which can get torn up quite easily. That's why when you see hippo bulls that have been fighting, or even a cow that's unfortunately been caught in the middle of a dispute, their skin looks teared up quite easy, but it's not to worry, of course. It heals up very, very quickly. This is so cool. Now turn around one more time so that we can see if you are a lady. Otherwise we sang that song and embarrassed ourselves for nothing. Where are you going? This is so cool. I think she's going to drop down again. And I did see quite a bit of water. Look at this. Look how easy she goes down. And I'm sure there's plenty of pathways that a variety of animals use. And off she goes. Now, as she disappears down into this lugger, we are going to send you back across to the Sabi Sand. Now, we haven't even been there yet. To Byron. He's on walk and he's got a beautiful view of the sunrise.
Good morning, everyone, from Djuma down in South Africa, and we've just got out, and what a great morning, because we are doing bushwalk, so a bit of a change again for us down here, which is exciting, and we're going to see what we can find for you while we're out on foot this morning. So not a drive this morning from Djuma, but in fact a walk, which should be fun. We're going to see, we heard lions calling during the course of the night. It sounded like, unfortunately, they were a bit far north, so towards Buffelshoek, But we'll see. Maybe we come across some leopard tracks this morning, maybe some elephant, who knows? And possibly try to see if we can find little insects. It is winter, it is a bit drier, but there's still a lot going on out here. So we're going to try our best and find some of it. So why don't we continue along and see what we can find this morning. I've just noticed around in this area we had some wildebeest actually that were all over this clearing. They obviously moved away while we were walking, but here you can actually see a lot of the wildebeest dung all over here. That's fresh, that's from last night. This little bit of dung over here, that's all wildebeest. So they would have probably slept or spent the night in this area, and the reason for that is obviously safety. It's nice and open, it's clear, and it's easier for them to keep a lookout for any potential predators. So that's why a lot of the wildebeest, the impala, they all come out onto the clearings during the course of the evening. That is really something interesting to see how these animals come out onto the clearings for safety. Now, Ginger, you say this is your first bushwalk with us. Well, that's great. Hopefully it's going to be a good one. We'll see. It's very different, a different experience. We've also got Herbie who walks with us, and Herbie checks around while we're busy talking to the camera. He will just check around and make sure there's no buffalo or elephant hiding somewhere. Cassie, you were wondering how safe is it to walk around. It's completely safe, Cassie. It's completely safe. Look, you do have to be aware and you have to be alert, but it's the same as being on a vehicle. You should never just be driving around blasé and not concerned about the wildlife. You always have to be cautious and aware. With the bushwalk, though, Herbie's very qualified too. I've been walking for many years. I've got walking qualifications. So we are always very cautious. We're very aware. But it's nice. It's a small group. There's only 3 of us. So it's actually very easy to approach and view wildlife on foot too. And with us all listening out and keeping our eyes peeled, we usually see the animals before we actually disturb them. But it's safe. It's safe. And there's nothing to worry about. But it is a different experience. And when you get closer, the animals react differently to you when you are on bushwalk, which is interesting to see. Obviously, from a vehicle perspective, they're used to the vehicles. They're used to seeing people on the vehicles and the smells and the sounds, and they're not too fazed. With the bushwalk, we're standing upright. We appear different. We basically look like predators because we are unusual to them. So a lot of the animals tend to move away from us a lot quicker. But we'll see. We might still find some interesting stuff. I'm just having a look over here. Often these little termite mounds and these broken trees are great areas to look for insects or anything interesting around here. But like I said, with the winter, there's probably not too much activity. It's amazing to see this beautiful tree stump coming out of this termite mound. Is it Izzy? I think was the question was from Izzy. You asked, is the termite activity different in winter as it is in summer? Most definitely it is. Now the reason for that is because the termites actually rely a lot on the moisture, so they need water, and now in winter there's obviously very little water, so then what they do is they tend to close the termite mounds up. And if you have a look here, this one I don't think is still active. The mound itself looks very hard, very solid, so I don't think this mound is active anymore. But what they would do is they'd close the mound up and basically conserve the energy, conserve the warmth and the heat in the mound. And then as soon as we start getting a bit more rain, you start seeing a lot more activity from the termites. But they are still around, they are still active, just not as much as they would be in the summer. Alright. Just quickly, something else that's interesting. Sorry, Seb, just over here, you can see birds obviously use these termite mounds. They'll sit on them as a vantage point looking for insects, and you see all the bird droppings on the termite mound. So that is something interesting. Birds, monkeys, baboons, they all use termite mounds from time to time. They'll sit on them, and as we saw the other day, leopards. The larger termite mounds, leopards will go and lie on top of them too. Alright, well, we're going to continue on our walk. Let's go back to Taylor, who's still sitting with us hippo.
Oh, Hippo is very indecisive, unfortunately, Byron. She wants to go down into this drainage line. Now, I don't know if she's got a better pathway here, but the route you saw her take a couple of minutes ago, she ended up having to reverse out of it. Was actually impressive. I, of course, did the classic beep, beep, beep as she reversed. No, are you a boy? No, now I'm starting to think this is a boy. I don't know what I just saw there. Did I? Darby, let's go with it, because now I'm confused, because now I think I saw maybe a man bit there. Now, we'll have another look. Now, Ginny, you're wondering if this hippo would be nervous enough? No, it's a boy. Aw, is it? I thought I saw something there. Yes, that's a much better angle, sorry. Okay, I've changed my mind. It's a young male. It's not a female. You have to disregard everything that I said. It's so difficult to be able to sex these animals. And again, it's not a particularly big one. It's actually quite small, in fact, about the size of a female hippo. This is exactly the size that a female hippo gets to, but it is not. It is a young boy. So, Ginny, no, I don't think so. There's a lot of space here. And look, it's going to cross actually on the road in between cars. So as long as you give them enough room, they'll be fine. And I think that's why the animals out here are so relaxed, is because there is so much space, so they can sort of see around them. There's nothing that can sneak up onto them, especially not in this area. The grass has been grazed very, very short by the buffaloes, by the elephants, by the hippo, of course. They've got those big square jaws. And then, well, the zebra and the wildebeest are here at the moment, so they're shortening the grass too. Are you wondering what is a group of hippo called? A pod or a raft of hippos, but you can get quite creative with the collective nouns. It's actually my favorite thing to do. So if you think you can come up with something a little bit better this morning, other than a raft or a pod of hippos, send it through. #Safari Live. I'd love to hear from you and hear what you think we could call a group of hippos. I'm going to send you across to Scott now. He's been determined. He said he was looking for cheetah, and that's exactly what he's found.
I can't believe how lucky we've got. We've found two sisters and... Oh, hang on. There's three. This actually could be the Musketeer Coalition. When I saw two of them initially, I thought it was two sisters that hang out together. Ordinarily, cheetah are solitary unless it's males in a coalition. So this is very, very interesting. The first one is the one you can obviously see. That is leading the movements. And I wonder what's going on here. Now, what could be the case is that there could be the two sisters that are possibly being followed by a male, but I am just not sure yet. I haven't had a close enough look to be able to tell whether they're male or female. Interesting stuff. Or you know what it could be? You know what it looks like? It looks like Malika and her two young boys. I can tell that the one approaching her now is a youngster. You can see he's got a little bit of a mane. So I think that is who it is, or at least it's a female with two sub-adult cubs in the beautiful morning sunshine. What a great start to the day. The second youngster is making its way towards them now. Beautiful. Hello, Christy. I'm very happy to hear you're excited to see them, as am I. We couldn't have got the day off to a better start, and I could think of nothing better than spending the next few hours with both them and you. How magic is this? Oh. Now, I haven't been able to take a good enough look at their bellies to see what their focus might be for this morning. Oh no, she is looking very, very focused and quite hungry. Cheetah, interestingly, are quite different to lion in that they store most of their food in their central stomach, and you very seldom see their back half of their stomach close to their legs being bloated, whereas that can be the case with lions. And she is creeping ahead very cleverly, just making sure she doesn't blow any opportunities. I can see some Thompson's gazelle, which are going to be her preferable food source. I'm just going to have to move a little bit to be able to show you where they are in relation to where she is. So she's straight in front of us now, and if we look to the left, Manu, at about 9 o'clock, we will see, oh, hang on, there's some right here at 10 o'clock. But I think these Thompson's gazelle would have already seen her. Not those ones, Manu. If you just look up with your naked eye, you'll see them at 10 or 11. More to the right. There we go. Now, what's very interesting is that I don't think these Thompson's gazelle have fully tuned into what's going on. You can see they're looking in the cheetah's direction, and often what happens is they actually run towards them, which seems daft. However, by running towards them, it completely removes the element of ambush and surprise, which all predators, even cheetah, do kind of rely on. And by keeping an eye on their predators, they've got a better chance of escaping them. This is awesome. Christy, you'd like to know if they would hunt this early in the day, and yes, they certainly will. Cheetahs will hunt morning, midday, afternoon and night, as will all predators. They've definitely got their peaks when they like to hunt the most, but they are certainly very adaptable and will take any opportunity they can get. Interestingly, I mean, the main difference that sets them apart from other predators is that they are generally less likely to hunt at night and more likely to hunt during the daylight hours. But as we've realized with the Musketeer Coalition, let's keep moving, Manu. With the Musketeer Coalition, we've already got several events where we've managed to see them hunting after dark or as dawn is breaking with very, very little light. So she certainly could well be on the hunt. She's slinking forward in a nature that's difficult to actually understand because she hasn't paid much attention to the Thompson's gazelle on the right, but I've just seen one of the young males has. I think from her low angle she actually hasn't even noticed them yet. She hasn't really laid eyes on them. Let's keep an eye on that back male because he's heading towards the Thompson's gazelle, and he is a youngster. He's about 15 months of age now. Him and his brother, who you can see walking through the foreground, are coming of age. Interestingly, there's actually two sisters that are younger than these two boys that have already left their mother. Okay, awesome, Manu. You stay on him. I'll keep an eye on the Thompson's gazelle and the other two cheetah. Now, we could get lucky here and see him unleash his furious speed on these Tommies. And what else is interesting is that we may get lucky and see them actually being chased. Nope, there go the Tommies. Let's just have a look at them disappearing off. So it was a half-hearted, inquisitive look into it. Let's have another look here. Sorry, Manu, at Malaika. I'm fairly sure it's her posing on a termite mound, getting a vantage point. And I guess, I wonder, maybe they're not hugely interested in prey, or maybe she simply forego those Thompson's gazelle due to the fact that they had already been spotted. She wasn't really in the most favorable hunting position. But not only prey will she be scanning for, certainly other cheetah, other predators like lion and hyena. Sorry, I didn't quite get your name, but one of you would like to know, will she hunt alone? And yes, she certainly will. She'll be doing, is it NASCAR, I believe, possibly? yes, cheetahs are solitary animals, so they definitely will hunt alone predominantly, and any co-hunting between a cheetah mother and her cubs will be through default. Like I said earlier, maybe one of these boys would have chased the Thompson's gazelle towards her, so they're not really actively getting hugely involved in the hunting. Having said that, though, I haven't spent much time with her and these two boys, so I must be careful as to what I say, because obviously things vary from day to day out here, and I'm almost certain by now they would have latched onto some prey, but they're not systematically hunting together like lions would. You can see their little manes now that we're a little bit closer on their neck. Those will disappear in the coming months. Probably by the time they're 2 years of age, they will lack that. When they were born, that would have been very big and white and fluffy and run all the way down their back. And I'm certainly looking forward to showing you guys some cheetah cubs and also spending time with cheetah cubs myself. I have not spent much time with cheetah, big or small to be honest, in my guiding career. And I'm loving the opportunity that the Masai Mara is providing all of us to get to know these awesome, awesome beasts. Oh, what an incredibly lucky start to the day. I'm quite surprised to see her here, to be honest. I thought she likes to spend time further to the south of where we are, kind of around Lookout Hill. But female cheetah do not have territories. They have a home range that they kind of just wander through, so they will not compete with other females for territory, but the males certainly are territorial, and there will be battles between them to lay stake to the best possible land. Speaking of which, the Musketeer Coalition, who obviously is a male coalition that will have a territory, is in the point where they're going to actually be putting a stamp down on this property that they're moving into, on this territory that they're moving into. The last few months, I've been told, we've been very lucky that they've been spending more time in the Masai Mara Reserve, because I've been told since they arrived in December last year, they were mainly in the surrounding conservancies. So some very interesting stuff could happen with the cheetah in this area, the male cheetah at least, and some territorial takeovers. So maybe that's something we'll be able to cash in on as well. It sounds like you guys are about to cash in on something else though, another wonderful big cat.
Well, thank you very much, Scott. It's quite nice to see the Angama pride. Now, there's plenty of alarm calls going on. Can you hear that? Sounds like somebody's brought their dog into the Mara Triangle, but it's not a dog, it is a jackal. And I suspect that it is alarming at the lions. Now, there are all the little ones. They're actually coming out of the bushes, which is quite nice. And it seems as though we might be able to see even the tiniest. Oh, there come the really little ones too. Oh, look how small they are. And the lion on the right has either got a wildebeest's tail or somebody has lost their wig. I'm not sure which one. It could be either. I'm, of course, just joking. It is the tail of a wildebeest. That's apparently what they managed to catch at some point. And they feasted upon it. They've finished up their kill. So their bellies are full. The little ones are happy. The adults will be happy. And I wonder where they're moving across to now. They're going across the other side of the road. Now, please bear in mind, there are lots and lots of vehicles around here, so I'm quite restricted to moving around. Oh, there we go. Rough and tumble. Doing a little somersault. Oh, that's fantastic. So we'll watch them as they cross over, and then we'll have to wait for some cars to move around before we'll be able to reposition. But isn't this so sweet? Now, these are the youngest cubs of the Angama pride. They're quite little. I'm not exactly sure how old they are, but I would guess for their size, they must be around maybe 3 or 4 months old. 5 months, somewhere around there. It's difficult to tell when you haven't seen these animals age. No, I'm going to say about 4 months old, somewhere around there. They're quite little. Off he goes with his toy. Patty, you said so many cubs. Indeed, there are. They just keep coming. There's more and more coming out of the drainage line. It's really, really quite beautiful, actually. I still have yet to see all the lionesses of the Angama pride. I've only seen 3. I don't know if there are any more. I thought there were maybe 5 lionesses from the pictures that I was looking at that James put up on his map, but I could be mistaken. That is going to be my goal today, because today will be the first time I actually have a gap during the day to focus on learning about the lions of the Mara Triangle. So I'll do that between drives. I'm going to print myself a map. I'm also going to try and start plotting where I've seen the various lions on a regular basis. And the spot that we're at the moment is where the Angamas like to hang around. This is their favorite drainage line. Angeline, you say, oh my goodness, my heart. I suppose that's a good way to describe what's going on here. It is a very, very precious sort of scene. Now, there's a lot of vehicles moving around, so you might be able to see them. And, of course, the jackal has now caught the attention of these little ones. I think that's why they're creeping across the road. And, of course, that jackal's not brave enough to show itself. It's probably hiding in some shrubs, just shouting out, saying, I can see you, go away. Very scary. Now, we're pretty much wedged in here. We can't really go anywhere, as you can see. So we need to, well, we'll try. There's another gap through the cars, but they're about to disappear out of it, I'm afraid. And that is our view of the lions for now, just until we can sort of shuffle around these cars. So we'll see if we can get another view of these beautiful cats. I'm going to send you across to Byron. He, of course, is walking around on his own 2 feet, not on his hands. He's looking at some tracks, and he's got an expert tracker with him by the name of Herbie.
What we can at least see. Now, we've been walking around and trying to help the other guides in the area find leopard, and we've just got some leopard tracks. Looks like possibly from last night or early this morning. You can actually see the track. That's the back pad, the 3 lobes, 1, 2, 3 on the back, and the toes, 1, 2, 3, 4 toes going this way. This is a female track, smaller track than a male, and not as round. A male track is much rounder, well, not much, but it is slightly rounder, but bigger. The back pad is bigger, obviously, on the male. Now, this is a female track heading that way. So we're going to try our best to see, maybe we have some luck finding a leopard on foot. That would be great. So we'll double check this area very, very carefully. Now, I believe I actually forgot completely to introduce ourselves. So my name is Byron, and on camera is, of course, Sebastian. We're the team in Djuma at the moment, and doing bushwalk. And Terry, you made a comment. You said I should tell some of the new viewers about bushwalk stories that I've told before when I was training. Which story exactly, Terry? Which one are you referring to? I've got so many. Now we're going to see, just have a look around here. The tracks, I see, have a look here. This is great. You can actually follow the tracks with me. Look at this. Here we go. Here's the track over here. You see she's now crossed a little bit. This is towards the middle of the road. There's another track. Then she comes across over here. 2 tracks over there, and then you see this substrate changes. It becomes very difficult. Now, if you were just scanning around, you probably wouldn't see it, but I can see, and if I point it out, you might see scuff marks on that hard section of soil over here. And then here she goes across the road. Here's another track here, and then it appears as if she turns and she heads off in that direction. So we're going to probably cut straight through here now and try to see if we can follow the tracks through here. While we do that, let's head back to Scott, who's got some cheetah to show you.
Hello everyone, and aren't you all having an epic morning safari? Lions with Taylor, a bushwalk with Byron, and cheetah with us. I think that is a great start to the safari. As you can see, the cheetah have calmed down to a bit of a panic, as that doesn't make any sense. They've calmed down completely, and the 2 young boys are cuddling as Mom surveys any possible threats or prey in this valley. Now, it does seem to be, I've chatted with 1 or 2 of the other guides in the sighting with us, and this does in fact appear to be Malaika. I think she is the only female with youngsters of this age, so good to get some confirmation from the other guys that this is in fact who we're looking at. She's a very, very well-known cheetah in this area. She's very, very relaxed with the vehicles, and there are many, many thousands of people that have laid eyes upon her. Hello, Michael. You would like to know what the two or the defining features are between these two boys, and for me, one's got a black tip on the end of its tail and one's got a white tip on the end of its tail. I think the one that's closest to us here appears to be the one with the white tip. Other than that, I mean, they've all got different spots, so their markings are all different, but I have not been able to work out just yet how to distinguish between the individuals. It's something that can certainly be done, but does require quite a lot of effort and studying of their spot patterns. You can choose spots anywhere on their body, their bottom, their chest, but usually their face is the place that researchers will use to identify all of the big cats really, lion, leopard and cheetah, distinctive marks on ears, and then spots on the face. Obviously for cheetah and leopard that's far easier than lion, because lions are not very spotty. I wonder when you're going to have your next little family of cubs, Malika. As I did mention earlier, the two boys will be moving off soon, which will allow her the freedom to mate. She may have already mated, give birth 3 months later, and then raise the next litter. Kathy, you would like to know how many cubs will she possibly give birth to? And usually, I mean, it's not uncommon for cheetah to give birth to around 3 or 4 cubs, but it's very seldom that all 3 or 4 cubs will make it to adulthood. I'm told that sometimes they can even give birth to sometimes a bit more than 4 cubs, so sometimes it could be even 5 or 6 little furballs running around. But not uncommon to have 4 little cheetah cubs running around. Like I said, sadly though, it's uncommon for all of them to make it to adulthood. Beautiful, beautiful morning light on one of Africa's most beautiful animals, I think. They are just so graceful. Hello, Sue. You'd like to know if these cheetah will ever attack humans. And no, cheetah are one of the least likely big cats to attack us humanoids. They are quite slight beasts, so they tend to shy away from confrontation, and would be very unlikely for a wild cheetah to attack us, either in terms of feeding on us, which is a rarity for both or all of the big cats. It's very uncommon that any big cats will hunt us for food. More often than not, they will be defending themselves or their cubs. But even if you were to walk into a cheetah den site with tiny cubs, it would be highly unlikely that the mother would attack you to a point where she's on top of you. She may make her presence known and growl at you, but unlike lion and leopard, who could actually latch onto you and start tearing you to pieces to ensure that their cubs are safe, the cheetah are not going to do that. Well, I said you guys are having a great morning so far. Taylor with lions, Byron on a bushwalk, and us with the cheetah. But it's about to get a bit better because James Henry has found some signal and some network. So why don't you go along and see how his night was and what his plans are for the day.
Everybody, yes, good morning. My night was actually quite productive, to be honest. We had some lions, excuse me, just fixing my earpiece. We had some lions of the Sala's Pride. They chased some wildebeest, which was quite fun. Then they slept a lot, then they got up, and then they slept a lot, and then they got up, and then they roared, and then they slept a lot. And then we went to sleep briefly, didn't we, Craig? Craig is on camera still. Yes, poor guy. He's been with me now for about 50 contiguous hours, poor chap. My name is James Henry, and it is my great pleasure to be with you on the Sunrise Safari. So we are on our way sort of back towards the eastern side. We've given up over by the Sala's camp. The communications are a little bit frustrating. The lions have gone to sleep. There are wildebeest there though, and so the story of the wildebeest at the moment is an interesting one. In the far distance there you can see a hill, a knoll, if you like. I've always wanted to use the word knoll while live. I'm not sure I have before. There it is. That knoll is called Lookout Hill. And it is just below that we saw some major crossings yesterday of wildebeest coming this way. Now, I expected there to be more wildebeest on these plains that we're sitting on now, but they are currently devoid of any animal life. But down towards Sala's camp and off towards Kikarok, those are areas in the south and eastern central parts of the Masai Mara National Reserve. There are some very large herds and attendant predators. And so that's what we've been exploring this week, last night. We're now going to head back across the river and see if the storm that was there last night has attracted more activity there. In the meantime, let us head across to Taylor, who I believe has got some lions, and they are not sleeping.
They are most certainly not sleeping. They're actually being quite entertaining. I would just wish they would come back this way because they're disappearing quite far off road now. But so I've now seen 4 females, which is really quite cool because I was just saying a moment ago, I've only ever seen 3 lionesses in this area, but I've seen a 4th one, and I'm sure the 5th one is lurking around somewhere. But these young cubs are being so entertaining. I really, really have missed watching young lions. Obviously, when I first started at Wild Earth, I was very fortunate. I spent so much time with the Ngahumas watching those little ones grow up, and again, they were so much fun, from climbing trees to fighting over carcasses and, well, really just playing it up with one another. It's so fantastic, and I'm sure you're all very excited to watch new lions grow. Now, it's so difficult to try and have a look and tell which one's male or female. That looks like a young male there that's playing with the tail of the wildebeest, which they gobbled down very early this morning. There's so many of them that one wildebeest wouldn't really last them for long. And the adults actually didn't look like they had a fairly large belly. Now, there are zebra and a couple of wildebeest in the far distance, so I wonder if they are going to make their way in that direction at some point and potentially take down another one. If not today, maybe a little bit later tonight, but who knows? Interesting question from Michael. Michael, you're wondering if the lionesses of the Mara are able to time their estrus cycles with the migration. I don't know. I mean, lions can give birth any time of the year. There's no particular season. Obviously, ideally, like the rest of the animals, you want to give birth when the conditions are good. But remember, for a lion, it's actually the winter months that are the peak season for them, because the prey that they're going after becomes weakened, and it's actually easier for them to hunt them. So, but again, then in the summer months, it's a lot easier because there's lots of food around here. Of course, the migration starts to happen just before the rainy seasons. So, Michael, I'm not actually sure. It would make sense that they would do something like that, but I don't think that there's really much shortage of food. We'll probably have a look at that jackal, because there's a couple of them around here. I can hear them sort of making noise. You can see that lioness is looking across at it. They're not going to be worried about a jackal, even though there are young cubs around. They know their place in the predator hierarchy, and they better watch out because they could get killed quite easily. Mary said they look quite happy and playful. Their bellies are now full. You know, mom can produce enough milk to satisfy her young cubs. The cubs are happy. They've got a toy in the form of a tail. They're also climbing about on some sticks. They are having a great time this morning. It's nice and warm. It's not too windy. It's not too hot just yet. I suspect they're going to settle down at some point. Maybe that's what they're searching for, the perfect shady spot. There are a couple of trees around here, but of course the sun moves around, and then that means they'll have to get up and move about. So I reckon they'll probably tuck themselves into one of these little shrubs and lay down. Let's see if they're approaching a couple of shrubs, or they're going to go and hunt again. It's a really tough one to say, Archer. They are edging closer towards the zebra, but those zebra are far away. They must be... He's actually almost maybe almost 800 meters away or so. It's particularly far. So we can't go all the way around that side. So I think we're going to move on from these lions in a moment. The reason being is because I reckon in the next couple of minutes they're going to go behind a shrub and we're not going to be able to see them. But that's okay, that's fine. We shall go and find other lions. We are going to go past the jackal den. Jackal den? What's a jackal den? Hey? Oh, Darby's also going. Taylor wants a jackal den. I don't know what a jackal den is, but we're going to go to the jackal den at some point. Then we're going to go along here. We're going to try and go through, jump on the river road, and then back towards that spot, and hopefully we'll see some lions in the way. But it sounds like Byron, I don't know what he's found, but he's still walking. Maybe he gets to see some elephants on foot. That would be really special. Let's go and take a look.
Now have a look at what we've just found, everyone. We've just found, it looks like 2 woodpeckers, cardinal woodpeckers, I think, but they haven't sat once. They're chasing one another around. This is amazing. Backwards and forwards, backwards and forwards. That's interesting. Now, our leopard search has been cut short because we gave the other guides the direction of where these tracks were heading, and they looped around to go and check near one of the dams, and they found that female leopard. Not sure who it is. I actually think it's Shadow. I think it's Shadow that they managed to find. Oh, these woodpeckers are chasing each other all over. It's amazing. But they haven't sat once. Just listening now. So they found Shadow, which is exciting. So I'm glad they did find the leopard. It would have been nice if we found her on foot, but they found it near one of the dams. So we're going to continue. However, while we were walking, we did hear what sounded like a lion contact call, a lioness contact call, a very soft, not a proper roar, but a like a contact call, and we heard that in this direction. Now that's not a very loud call, so if we can hear her, she might be in the area. So we're going to have a look around and see, perhaps we have some luck with that. Now, who was it? It was James Richard. You were asking about, is there any sign of spring that we can see out here? And I've been looking around closely, and James, I've found not a lot, but on some of the acacia trees, some of the knobthorn trees, I have found little shoots, little green leaves starting to come out. I'm just going to have a look quickly around here. No, nothing on the marula trees yet, but on the acacias, those that flowered earlier in the winter, we saw those beautiful yellow flowers, and I've seen some lovely small little green shoots just coming out of those trees, 1 or 2, but there's actually very little other sign of spring arriving. So but we'll keep an eye out, see if there is anything else. Now, I love having a look at areas like this with the bark of the trees, just to see if there's any sign of insects or... Oh, this is interesting. This is old. Oh, this just was so brittle. But look at this. This is actually sand that has been built by termites. This is an old section of soil that's been built around this tree stump. You can actually see just where some of the bark has been stripped off. Sorry, Seb, it's a bit tricky. But over here, the bark's been stripped off here, and I think that's from the termites feeding on it. But this is a soil that what the termites do is they'll bring the soil up, mix it with their saliva and feces, and then what they do is they build this around a section to protect the colony, and that colony will then feed on this dead log. And that's exactly what's happened here. They've fed on this dead tree and fed off some of the bark, but this is no longer active. But you can see this whole section is all soil, basically all made up of, or made from the termite mounds. Now the interesting thing is, is this is not that old. It hasn't been baked for very long. That termite mound I showed you at the beginning of the walk, I showed you how hard it was, very, very solid, not active. This would have probably been done in the last year, I would say, and it's still very brittle and soft, whereas once it starts baking after a few years, it gets very hard, almost like cement. It becomes very, very hard. But that, you can see, is very brittle. Let's continue. I do enjoy these bush walks from time to time. I can't believe how warm it is at the moment. Oh, sorry, Megs, I could not hear you at all there. Just trying to listen. Jeremy asked about what tree do I need to find? Just have a look here quickly in the grass. Roger. There's a little crested francolin. There it goes, running across the road, not too phased by us. Okay, Jeremy, you asked if I can find a sausage tree. I'm just trying to think where the sausage trees are here. I know there's... Herbie, do you know where there's a sausage tree on Djuma? I'm trying to think. I think in the Mulwati, I think there's one or two. Not many, Jeremy, and I haven't seen any fruit. I haven't seen any fruit at all, not this time of year. So, but there are not many sausage trees in this area. So I don't think we'd be able to help you with that today. But we'll have a look around. Maybe we can find... I know there is a sausage tree actually on Chitwa, but in the camp. Maybe one day we can ask if we can grab one of the fruits and we'll cut it open and show you. But in the meantime, let's go across to James, who's hopefully got his comms sorted out. I know that was quite frustrating for him. And let's see, he's got the tallest animal in Africa.
Well, the frustrating thing is my comms and the fact that that link took enough time to that giraffe to have had 4 birthdays. It's now heading into the trees. But it is a very lovely giraffe. We do have a little bit of communication, and so we'll just enjoy the giraffe, the tipple skirchy, heading in towards where we've just dropped Pius. Pius was our Askari for the night. 2 nights he spent with us. Long-suffering fellow that he is. I mean, it's bad enough spending time with anyone for 50 hours, but in my company, good grief, you've got to have the patience of Job. There we go, there's our giraffe, and I'm not going to move the car because as soon as I do that we lose our comms. And we've got a lovely little group of elephants over there, and they're moving off also into the woodland. It's still quite chilly. It was a coldish night, and there's still a bit of a nip in the morning breeze, which is quite nice. And I'm going to show you one more thing while we sit here. There's another huge line heading towards the lookout crossings. Can you see over the top of my head, Craig, on the other side of the river? There's a little line of ants moving towards the lookout crossings. Very nice shot there. And they're all going to where we watched them crossing yesterday, I think. Now, there was a lot of rain. I don't know how much rain there was with you on drive yesterday in the Mara Triangle, but there looked to be a huge amount across there yesterday evening, round about that greenish hill that you're looking at now. I don't know if you were with us yesterday afternoon, but Craig would have showed you some pictures of the storm as we watched it falling, and the sun setting behind it. It was very pretty indeed. And I think that will probably then draw the wildebeest back there at some stage. That's a beautiful line of them. Isn't it amazing to watch them run like that? Going most of the time, I think, without any knowledge of the destination. Just running because that's what they do. Yeah, Natalie, you say so much life in the Mara. It's exactly what I feel like. It just really does abound. from all the trees. We were in amongst the Sand River Valley yesterday. Lots of beautiful trees. I started to notice more and more flowers, the sounds of insects and birds, and then of course a huge abundance of mammals. Now what is very exciting is that Scott, the great cheetah man of Africa, is unsurprisingly with Cheetah, as he's shown you, and well, he's encouraged them, as he always does, to take after some prey.
So yes, we certainly are with cheetah, but not only are we with predators, we are also with their prey. There is a massive, massive herd of impala, probably about a quarter of a mile away. So lots of good opportunities for later on, but for now, as you can see, the cheetah are just happy to be basking in this morning sun after what was a cold and chilly night. There's some crowned lapwings that have converged behind them. Where have they gone now? They just disappeared behind the grass. There's some small birds, I think a little bit to the left, Manu. There we go. So those birds have come in onto the fray. Let's have a close look there, Manu. Very nice. As you can see, it's got a very distinctive crown, hence its name, the crowned lapwing. Wonderful. And while we're still zoomed in, I guess we can have a nice look at those cheetah, who are in a very cute cuddle, using one another as pillows. At least the two boys were, but Mom is on the ground. I wonder how long they've been moving for. We literally called you onto the vehicle as soon as we got sight of them, but they do move after dark and in the early morning hours. So it could be that they've had a long morning, or it simply could be that they're cold and they're just enjoying warming up. As I said earlier, they do certainly hunt during the day, sometimes in the middle of the day. So a tricky animal to predict with regards to movements, other than the fact that they'll usually sleep for about 4 or 5 hours every night. That's what we found with our time spent out after dark. What I can tell you though, and for anyone who may have just joined, is that they are quite hungry. Jeffrey, in Texas, you'd like to know if this terrain is too rocky for these cheetah to hunt in, and no, certainly not. This is a perfect runway for a cheetah to do its business on, and they can also hunt in very thick areas, so even though they prefer open savannas, they can be very effective hunters in very thick areas. So that is something to bear in mind, and this certainly is not too rocky. I would say they wouldn't even consider any concern here, but yes, they can be surprisingly nimble, as can their prey at escaping. I often wonder how the prey can manage to run away from predators after dark when they can't see as well without breaking legs. Occasionally though, of course they do, but no, these guys are built to negotiate and maneuver through this environment, so they're not going to have a problem hunting here. This is perfect. It sounds like Taylor has found some stripes for you guys. Why don't you go and enjoy them?
Many stripes, and we're actually at a communal scratching post. The zebras seem to be having a fantastic time up on this fallen tree. Well, it used to be a tree. It's not quite a tree anymore. It's just dead bark, and that is making the perfect scratching post, and I can imagine that the lions would like to climb on that too. You'd use it as a vantage point, they could play on it, but that gets all the spots. You can rub your bottom and scratch your tail, which would be quite nice, and you can also find a little bit to scratch on your face too. And I always feel sorry for animals that don't have hands like you and I. We can sort of scratch most places, or you can just ask a friend to scratch your back if you can't reach it. A zebra, however, I don't know if they really can ask one another to do that, and whether a zebra would be so obliging, I'm not so sure. Now, we've got another very special zebra with us today as well, as we sit here in the Mara Triangle. David actually spotted it. Look at that. Isn't that cool? Now, we suspect We have a theory that this is the zebra that Rosendo Ribeiro rode, Kenya's first private medical practitioner, because of that saddle mark. Looks like it's been worn, don't you think? Look at those stripes. We're obviously joking because he was around many, many, many years ago. So, of course, that is not the zebra that he rode and did his house calls on, but I thought it was quite funny to know that we are in Kenya. I've never seen a zebra with... Oh my gosh. So now we have a question from Rebecca Christensen, who is sitting in final control, and she said with a very stern voice, one of the directors, in case you are unfamiliar with all the directors, she said, why did David and I not say goodbye this morning? Well, Rebecca, you said that you were going to meet us at 6 o'clock, and we were waiting like this to give you a hug, and you weren't there. And when we had to go on safari, it was very sad. But we sent you a video. Rebecca says our vehicle wasn't even down there. I don't know. Did I not come into final control? I'm confused. I was maybe sleepwalking, but sorry about that. Rebecca's going on a holiday, a much-deserved holiday, after working around quite a bit in the Mar Triangle. But we will miss you, but we will see you upon your return, hopefully. Bye, Bex. But they are still scratching. I love it. I love it how one zebra goes over and rolls. We've seen this. They all start rolling. One goes over and has a scratch, and, well, the rest of the herd seem to join in. This lot are not giving up, though. I think they're going to be here all afternoon by the looks of it. They seem to be enjoying themselves quite a bit. Now, they must have a lot of parasites, especially building up on their tail region. We know that the ticks like to gather underneath their tails, and the oxpeckers can only do so much. So even scratching could help dislodge parasites too. Kate, you said that this is so darn cute. It is. It's quite precious. It's interesting sitting and watching these animals go about their daily activities. You know, it's one thing watching a zebra eat. You can only really watch a zebra eat for so long. But having them scratch up on a fallen tree or roll around in the dust, or stallions having an argument, it's obviously quite exciting. So for me, I love, of course, the cats, and it's really great to watch, but I do enjoy watching things like this. I could sit here all day just observing and learning more about the zebras. That one has taken a seat now. Obviously a bit tired, wanting to rest the legs. That's a great spot. Let's see if anybody's brave enough to jump over that log. It's a pity that there aren't any frisky foals about at the moment, because I reckon if they were running around, they might bounce over that for us and showcase their jumping techniques. They're actually really, really good at jumping a zebra. And the reason why I know this is because I've watched one leap across a river. The stretch of river must have been about 3 meters wide, and it did it with absolute ease. Back hooves touched the water, but it was so impressive. It had, of course, its legs tucked up. It was quite incredible. Right. I'm so sorry, Alice. I didn't hear what you said Byron had. It was quite difficult. Oh, wonderful. Byron has got one of the smallest carnivores on foot. Hopefully they'll come out of their holes. Let's see what they do.
Was very, very soft, because we found a family of Dwarf Mongoose. And I'm actually sitting about 3 meters from them, very, very close. And they're sticking their heads out. They're coming to have a look. Maybe they even come a bit closer. They're probably going to come out and try to warm themselves up in the sun. They're all very curious, watching me. This is awesome. They're curious, but they are still a bit weary. See if another one or two come out. There we go. Little head watching me. See it there, Sept? On this side closest to me.
Yeah, I've got it.
You got him? Wonderful. This is so great. Sitting quietly with his dwarf mongoose watching us. Catherine, you say Byron the mongoose whisperer? I don't think so. My mongoose isn't very good. That was awesome. Really great. I think what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to move away from the mound so we don't disturb them too much. Oh, I'm losing my radio here. Now, we haven't had any sign of that lion yet. Or again, no, we haven't heard anything, and we haven't. Sorry, these earpieces are so annoying. Let's head along here, I think, along the fire break. And Donna, you asked what is the lifespan, or average lifespan of a dwarf mongoose? Well, if I'm not mistaken, Donna, I think it's about 5 or 6 years. I think. I stand to correction, but I think that's it for a dwarf mongoose. Not incredibly long. So 5 or 6 years. Like I said, I stand to correction, but I think that's what it is. Alright, so what we've been doing now is we've been trying to listen out to see if we can get any more sign of that lioness that was calling. So it turns out that Shadow has got a kill. Now that's wonderful news. Unfortunately, we wouldn't be able to go and view her now because we are on bushwalk. But she's got a kill, which is great, and that's close to one of the dams, close to Treehouse Dam. So that is great news. I'm not sure if she has fetched the cub yet or if the cub is in the area. I'm not sure, but we'll try to get an update maybe later and just let you know what is going on there. What I have found though, while on walk, is this beautiful porcupine quill. Well, we don't often see porcupines, but they are out here. You can see this beautiful quill, very, very sharp. I spoke about this the other day when we had, it was Mvula, that big male leopard who killed a porcupine, which is not easy, but he managed to kill a big porcupine and feed on it for a day. Now, what the porcupines do is this little white tip actually sits in the skin. There you go, you can see that. That sits in the skin. And what the porcupines do, so the porcupine will have the quills relaxed. This will sit in the skin, and then when they feel threatened, they clench muscles in the skin and the body, and it causes the quill to stand up like that. And this will then allow them to defend themselves against the predator. And what the porcupines do, and some people have the misconception that they shoot the quills out, they don't. So what will happen is it'll tense up, clench, cause these quills to stand up, and then they run backwards into whatever predator it is trying to attack them, and then the quill will then stick into the predator and pull out of the porcupine. That's how it works. Alright, well, let's continue our search for our lioness. Maybe we have some luck with her. Let's go across to Taylor now with some of my favorite birds, the secretary birds, and some other wildlife.
There's definitely other wildlife here too. Zebra and hartebeest and topi and giraffe and buffalo. But what I'm most focused on is the secretary birds, and there were 2 of them that were moving through the long grass trying to flush out some prey. Yay! My favorite bird in the entire world. Now, I've been very fortunate to have wonderful sightings, and they're actually coming quite close. So I think if we sit here, they might come right past the car, which is really cool. And I think it's a good idea that they move through the herds like this. Obviously, we see starlings and fork-tailed drongos, using the mammals to, of course, flush out insects. And I reckon if a big herd of zebra moving through the area, they could also flush out rats and snakes and things like that. And that's just some of the few things that this bird likes to eat. Now, will you catch a snake for us? I've actually seen a snake since I've been here, can you believe it, with Craig when he first arrived on his first afternoon safari. It was one of the mambas. I don't know if it was an East African green mamba or a Jamison's mamba, but it was one of them. I got a quick view of it. It was very pretty, bright green in color. Oh, that would be amazing to watch a secretary bird take on something like that, or even a puff adder. I've actually seen secretary birds killing puff adders before, and Cape cobras. And they're also a striking yellow color. But like I said, they don't necessarily just have to go for snakes. I've definitely seen a few more rodents around in this area, so they will, of course, go for them too. Look at those long legs. Of course, they are designed to catch snakes. They've got almost like armor plating, I suppose, on their legs. Their scales are just so close together that it can actually help prevent a snake from penetrating their legs and killing them. Now, Anna Marie, you said that you love their legs. They're beautiful. It looks like they're wearing pants. It always reminds me, or 3/4 at least. And look at all those quills on the head. They are honestly unbelievable birds. I'd like to find a secretary bird nest, one that we were able to sort of see. The chicks get big so quickly, you can often see their heads popping over the tops of the trees. There you go, but not too bothered, just crossing the road now, and off they go. That is so cool, but sadly, no snake or no rat for us. I have yet to see a kill in the Mara. Can you believe it? I keep missing them, but we're going to keep trying. I don't mind if it's not from a lion. I'd be quite happy to watch a secretary bird take on something too. Wouldn't that be nice? And it seems as though we have started a trend this morning with the secretary birds. Scott had cheetah. He's now also got some of these beautiful birds.
Well, it certainly is a trend that I could get used to. They are such awesome birds. And aren't you guys lucky that you can just jump from one secretary bird sighting straight to another? I'm quite surprised how short their toes are. For such a tall beast. Oh, the crowned lapwings are bomb diving it, which means there could be some eggs or chicks nearby. That's the racket you can hear, and they'll keep coming in. They may even pluck one of those feathers out of its head. Unlikely. It would be very impressive if they did do that. As I was saying though, I'm quite surprised at how small their toes are. Let's try and zoom in on them just before it disappears into the long grass. I mean, you can kind of see what I mean. It's just a very small clump of toes as it lifts each leg. And considering they're so tall, you'd expect them to have slightly bigger toes, like the storks. But I guess the reason being is that their toes and their feet are used to bludgeon their prey to death, as well as to catch onto it. But it's mainly a bludgeoning tool, so to have very long toes wouldn't make sense because it would become a bit too delicate for the job required. Now there are snake hunting machines, as I'm sure Taylor has already told you, but what I've noticed in my time here is that they're mainly hunting insects. On the other side of the river where Taylor is, it's grasshoppers that are in abundance, so that's what the secretary birds have been focusing on there. But like most predators, they will take whatever opportunity they get as and when it presents itself. Nazza, you'd like to know if these birds sleep on the ground or up in trees, and it is up in trees where they like to sleep, but they fold themselves down, so they don't sleep with their long legs extended. They flatten down and lie down on the top of trees, and I'm sure we'll be able to show you some sleepy secretary birds with all of our nights out and early mornings out here in the Mara. I'm sure a lot of you are interested to know how the cheetah are coming along and what they're getting up to, so we'll give you a quick update there. But on the way across, it might be worth showing you their possible breakfast options. There is a very, very large herd of impala just at about 12:30. So there is plenty of food around. All the cheetah need to do is get their act together, because as you can see now, there is not much that's going on with them. but they do have their heads up. Mom is looking around, and I think once they've warmed up a little bit more, I think they're going to get active and try and secure a meal. Now, I don't think we've actually managed to film Malaika hunting yet, so that would be a first that a lot of you would be able to join in on, and I would suggest that you keep an eye on the safari, because there's a strong chance that she is going to show us her incredible speed and hunting prowess. If not this morning, I think definitely this afternoon. However, I am trying to get some intelligence on any other cheetah, possibly the 5 males, and possibly somewhere a little bit closer to where we're going to be able to have a snooze for a couple of hours, because the camp where we stay on the side of the river is quite far away from here. Sounds like Byron's having a good time on foot trying to track down something interesting. It could be a leopard. I'm guessing that's what it is, but why don't you guys go and see for yourself?
Now have a look, everyone. Some more female leopard tracks. It's very clear. 1, 2, 3, 4 toes and the 3 back lobes. Very clear, very small track. Now, Michael, you asked, what did I mean by saying that the male track was rounder than the female track? So, firstly, the size of the track. Okay, the size of the track, the female track is smaller than a male's. This back pad in a male, the length from here to the back would be longer, and the length from the side to there would be wider on the male track. But the track itself, if you have a look, this track is fairly elongated, so it's a little thinner down there and longer from there to there. With the male track, the pad is actually a bit wider, so these toes would be a little bit wider apart, causing that track to just appear to be a little bit rounder. What I mean is, that's what I mean by saying it's rounder. So that general shape would be slightly rounder from one toe to the other, and from front to back. Does that make sense, Michael? I hope that makes sense. This is just a slightly elongated track, slightly. So you can see that it's a little bit longer that way than it is wide, and that is a female track. The male generally is a little bit rounder. That's often what trackers refer to as a rounder track. But the back pad is clearly wider and longer on a male. It would be bigger, much bigger. Now I've got an update from that leopard with the kills. So when the other guides first arrived there, they had a look, and we didn't get the full update. Apparently it is Hosanna that has made a kill and is near that dam. He has got a kill, which is wonderful, because we saw him the other day looking a little hungry. So it was young Hosanna who's managed to make a kill, and he has got the kill near dam. These tracks of this female leopard still are heading in a westerly direction, so in that direction, but then I think they cross south onto a property south of us. We're going to still have a look around. You never know, we might still find her, but it was not Shadow. Initially we thought, because we were tracking that female leopard, and when they found the leopard they said we found her, but they didn't have a good look, and it's actually young Hosanna who's got that kill. Alright, so at least we pieced the puzzle together, so we understand what's going on, and we still got these tracks. No sign of those lioness tracks though that we were having a look for. I'm not sure where that lioness has gone, because we heard her contact calling, so she couldn't have been too far. But the sound of lion calls can be heard from quite a distance. Now this lioness, I don't know, it was soft, it sounded like this area, but she may in fact have been south of the boundary. Alright, let's try and go through here. I think Seb, you want to go? There we go, no problem. Alright, well, now Taylor has got some animals that I'm going to be looking for too while we're on bushwalk. Let's go and have a look at them now.
Sorry everyone, we just got to do a bit of leveling and repositioning. Byron likes to talk a lot, I've noticed. So we had to reposition about 4 times. These elephants are moving quite quickly, but we've got a very funny little elephant who is being quite entertaining. Hopefully it's going to continue being entertaining. It's been chasing all sorts of things around, climbing up on termite mounds. Here it comes again. I wonder what its reaction to us is going to be. Now, I'm just watching these elephants. I'm obviously not familiar with the elephants of the Mara, but every time I have experienced them, they seem to be quite relaxed and don't seem to mind us at all. But there's a couple of big cows about. Byron says that I'm the pot calling the kettle black with talking so much. Byron, you're winning. I think that you've taken the lead and in talking more than I can. Come on, little one, off you go. Now, this is fantastic. They're crossing right in front of the car. They don't seem to mind us at all. It's absolutely spectacular. Oh, I'm so happy to be with my favorite animal in the whole world. Sorry, that's me diving out of shot. I got so excited. I was looking at them. Hi, elephants. Are you coming to say hello? Please don't come and say hello. I just want to watch this cow. She's just pushing one of the youngsters out of the way. Hello, girls. Hello, little ones. Hello, elephants of the Mara. You're all so spectacular and also big with beautiful ivory. Come on, little one. Are you not going to come and play? I thought you were going to put on a show for us. Hello, girl. Just watching them very carefully. Yes, you're quite excited, aren't you? Sure. This is an old lady in front here. Look at her. Look at her beautiful tusks. Hello, girl. Definitely a much older girl. She must be in her late 40s, if not even her early 50s. I think she has been around for a very long time. She's just stopping. Oh, she's found a little shrub that she quite likes the smell of. There she goes, using her foot to scoop it up and pulling it up with her trunk. Into the mouth it goes. Now, Lola Dart, you're wondering how fast can an elephant run? Hopefully we won't have to show you today. We'll keep it peaceful. They can move at about 40 kilometers an hour, so it's very quick. It's much faster than you and I could ever dream of running. Isn't that great? Gosh, these elephants are big here. The cows are massive. Even look at this girl back here. Look how tall. They are so tall here. With massive tusks. I actually cannot get over it. I know I keep saying it over and over, but it's truly spectacular how enormous the animals are here. They're very relaxed. I'm impressed that they're so calm around the cars. I suppose they do experience a lot of vehicles. I thought they maybe would have, been slightly agitated. We waited for them to come towards us, and they were quite happy to just cross within a couple of meters away from us. And they look like they're heading towards the river line now. There is lots of food around there, but of course you can see the grass is lovely and green at the moment, and they're stopping just to feed on the shrubs every now and then. We did also see a black-backed jackal at 1.2. There's lots of things around here. There's something else I want to show you. Right, there's a black-headed heron up ahead. Thank you, elephants. They're moving off. I want to have a look at this black-headed heron. Maybe we get a hunt. They're also one of my favorite birds to sit and watch, especially when they're out in the grasslands. So I'll just try and get a little bit further ahead. There is another car, but I think they've stopped to watch the ellies. So hopefully we'll have a bit of time here. Don't fly now, heron. Trying to see. I want to get into a position where another car can pass us without us having to move off of the road. So I think, don't fly, heron, don't fly, don't panic. I'm going to stop, I promise. There we go, I'll stop here. It's a beautiful bird, just in the grass. Look at that, the way it's moving. Also trying to flush out prey, but they'll often stand completely still over a rodent's pathway and wait for them to make the dash from their nest to go and find something to eat, and then they will stab them with that very, very sharp beak. But now, isn't that such a beautiful looking bird? Now, the grey heron is much larger than the black-headed heron in terms of wingspan and height, but to me, the colours that you have on a black-headed heron are so much more striking, and that bright yellow eye too is really, really beautiful. Look at the way. It's an Egyptian bird, this one. Off it goes. Obviously didn't have much luck on the right-hand side, so let's cross the road to try and have a look around this way. There's so many rodents around, it's actually scary. The birds must be well fed out here. And also some Thompson's gazelle that you can see just in the distance.